The endorsement that I made years ago with Biden was one I thought was the best decision for me at that time. And I thought back then, when we talk about, hey, I'm in this position where I have some influence, and it's my job then. I felt like that then. It's my job now to exercise my influence and share with this is who I'm going to endorse. Am I going to do that again this year? That answer is no.
All right, folks, so let's start this video off by doing a little bit of a flashback. If you'll remember back to 2020, Dwayne The Rock Johnson very infamously came out and endorsed Joe Biden in the presidential election. And I was pissed about that. A lot of conservatives are still pissed about that to this day, and that's understandable. But really, the worst part about that all, in my opinion, wasn't the fact that he just endorsed Biden, but how clearly and obviously insincere it was, right? You watch that endorsement video, it literally seemed like a hostage video, like there was a gun pointed to his head telling him, yes, I support Biden and Kamala Harris. They're going to make great presidents, blah, blah, blah. And perhaps figuratively speaking, that was completely true. I do think Hollywood was holding a metaphorical gun to his head and telling him, hey, you better get on board with our candidate or your career is done, your movies are over, right? But recently, in the past year, it has seemed like The Rock has been trying to move away from Biden and sort of, at the very least, position himself in the center. So last year, he went on the Joe Rogan podcast and basically said, I have friends who are Republicans and Trump supporters. I understand it. We shouldn't be villainizing those people. He even made a lot of interesting, like, America First arguments regarding, hey, you have the situation in Hawaii and you're giving all this money to Ukraine. It doesn't make a lot of sense. So that was that. Okay, it's clearly The Rock trying to, hey, Biden is a sinking ship. I'm going to move away a little bit. And to a degree, I would say probably say what he really feels, right? Because when he says those things, it doesn't actually sound like there's a gun to his head like when he was endorsing Biden. So that's interesting. Then last month, or I think 2 months ago, he was with Vivek Ramaswamy at the Daytona 500, and Vivek posted that picture and people were saying, very interesting. And now recently, he just did a Fox News interview where he basically implied that he regrets, endorsing Biden in the 2020 election, and very openly here says he will not do that again. He will not endorse Biden in 2024, and he probably just won't make an endorsement in general. And that's all very interesting, okay? Now, there is a conservative reaction to this where most people, from what I've seen, are saying, nope, you laid your bed 4 years ago, now lay in it. The whole scandal with Oprah and the Maui relief is not doing you any favors. We still don't like you. And we'll address that in a second. Okay, I'll tell you what I think about that. But first, let's play this video here of The Rock explaining himself as to how he feels, I guess, politically now. Okay, take a look.
You made that endorsement in 2020. Are you happy with the state of America?
Am I happy with the state of America right now? Well, that answer is no. Do I believe we're going to get better? I believe in that. I'm an optimistic guy, and I believe we can get better. The endorsement that I made years ago with Biden was one I thought was the best decision for me at that time. And I thought back then, when we talk about, hey, I'm in this position where I have some influence, and it's my job then. I felt like that then. It's my job now to exercise my influence and share with this is who I'm going to endorse. Am I going to do that again this year? That answer is no.
You made that endorsement.
Okay, very interesting. So a couple things to break down there. First of all, read into a little bit of what he said. He says, I felt like it was the best thing for me to do at that time. That's very interesting, right? And this is why I will say I understand fully the conservative skepticism about this guy. Nobody trusts him really still on our side. Nobody really likes him. Because what does that really mean? What does it really mean to say, it was the best thing for me to do personally at the time? It means that you knew your contacts, your career in Hollywood was in massive jeopardy. They're probably pressuring you to do this, and you said, okay. So, first of all, that is basically what he was saying. And that's why I really do still kind of question his sincerity. But okay, I understand that. Okay, that's number one. Number two, though, very interestingly, he says, will I do that again? And the answer is no. Okay, he's not going to endorse Biden this time in the election. Now, with that said, I think some people may look at that and say, okay, good enough. All right, fair enough. Listen, it's good that you're not endorsing Biden. If you would rather just stay out of it, hey, you're sitting out of the election. Fine, that's better than you endorsing Biden, right? But I would say, again, the mainstream conservative reaction I have been seeing from the comment sections and stuff like that is still along the lines of, nope, I will never forgive you. Screw you still to this day, okay? You're still a hypocrite. You're still a liar. I think the Maui relief situation has something to do with that. Other people are saying, well, you're still kind of being a coward, The Rock, because we probably know that I mean, if I were to guess, I just think The Rock doesn't care too much about politics, but you probably have a little bit more Republican instincts than you're willing to admit to us, and you're still hiding those. You're a coward, etc. So listen, here's what I will say about this, okay, is I think that The Rock coming out and saying that he will not endorse Biden is objectively a good thing, okay? Now, again, I understand all the conservative comments where we are getting about this. I'm sure we're going to get those same comments in the second comment section down below saying, listen, no, I screw The Rock still, whatever. Here's what I'll say is nobody is forcing you to like the guy. I'm not saying that The Rock is a MAGA warrior patriot or anything like that, but let's think about this practically here for a second, okay? You have a guy. I don't know how many people actually went out to vote for Biden because of The Rock, but when you consider the Hollywood machine consolidating together in 2020, I'm sure they helped turn out some of the votes in that election, right? If he's coming out and saying that I'm just going to stay out of it this time, Biden is not getting my endorsement, then that's a net positive, okay? And again, I got a reply from someone earlier saying, basically, there's no nobility in silence. If he's just going to stay silent, that does nothing. To which I say, okay, I agree that being silent or sitting on the fence, yes, there's nothing virtuous about that. There's nothing noble about that. In a way, one could argue it is still kind of cowardly what The Rock is doing because he knows he doesn't like Biden, but he's still trying to play the center here. But what I would still say is, again, think about this strategically, okay? This election, as I have said for a very long time, more so even than winning over the hearts and minds of people, of the independents and all this, is going to come down to turnout. That is really what it's about. And the biggest struggle that Biden especially faces is that alleged 81 million people who voted for him in 2020 because they were very fired up and enthusiastic because they hated Donald Trump so much, because Biden has been such a disaster as president, they are not so enthused. They are not so moralized as they were back 4 years ago. And so a lot of these people, folks, are going to just stay home, okay? Because there's a lot of people out there who maybe they're Democrats, maybe they're independents. They don't like Trump either. They voted for Biden in 2020 because they really didn't like Trump. But now they're looking at Biden and saying, well, I don't care much for you either. I'm just not going to go out and vote for you, right? And I think what The Rock here is doing or symbolizing is the other side is disaffected or they're demoralized. And that is a good thing, right? It is objectively a good thing to demoralize your opposition. Objectively, this is true, okay? Yes, would it be better if The Rock, Bill Maher, Stephen A. Smith, all these people who are kind of influential and maybe 4 years ago they were super pro-Biden, but now they're straddling the center a little bit more? Yes. Would it be better if they just openly came out and said, vote for Trump? Of course it would, but we also take what we can get. Okay, this is a huge chess game we're playing in the context of politics. It is a very complicated thing. It's not just this linear battle of Trump versus Biden. There's a lot of layers to this thing going on here. And again, I say that if the Joe Biden base from 2020, half of them are disaffected with Biden, half of them are demoralized, it is actually good enough in a practical sense for us, our side. And I don't know about you, but what I really care about ultimately this year, I just want to win the election, guys. That's really what matters, okay? We can fix and talk about all these other issues once we win the election, because if we don't win the election, nothing else is going to matter. We're pretty screwed. So I look at this all, strategically, like a general in war, and I say, okay, if the opposing army, if their morale is down, right? If they have a bunch of deserters, okay, do the deserters all have to come fight for us? No, it'd be nice, right? It'd be nice. But if they're just deserting their own ranks and now that army is weakened and half of them don't even want to be on that battlefield, then yeah, figuratively speaking, of course, that's a good thing for us. So that's how I interpret this whole situation, okay? Am I telling you to go out and say, nope, we have to forgive The Rock? Absolutely. If you want to do that, fine. If you don't want to do that, honestly, that is your call, okay? I know a lot of conservatives really don't like this guy, so I understand that totally, but I will just point out and say, look, as an observational thing, if he is not contributing to Biden's campaign efforts in 2024, hey, that's one less influencer they have on their side. And I will venture to guess, I don't think he's going to be the only one of the Biden 2020 team that's not here for 2024. And again, that is good news for us. That's a good thing for us. With that said, folks, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. I'm sure we're going to get very heated debate on this question. Do you think The Rock is a coward? Still to this day, I mean, to me, I will acknowledge it still seems obvious he's trying to straddle that center. He doesn't want to say too much that will piss off all of his Hollywood contacts and stuff, although I know he hasn't had a lot of movies recently, right? And I think he's back to wrestling now. So maybe it's a situation where he's not trying to entirely burn the bridge, but he knows, he's not really the superstar he was, I guess, in the late 2010s. So now he's a little bit more free to say what he wants. Whatever you think about it, let me know. Be sure to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and until next time, Alpha moves only, God bless, and peace.